Okay,
Yeah,
let me
okay.
share my screen. Let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, we are able to see Ashok.
Okay, today we are going to discuss about caching. So up to now, whatever we have discussed about the OS models and TCP IP model, do you have any questions on that?
No, Ashok.
Okay, do you have any idea about caching? Because whenever we use the Google Chrome, we usually delete the cookies and cache and everything. So do you have any idea what exactly the caching is?
Uh, it's a temporary storage.
Okay.
Like, just like RAM, whatever the current page will get stored in the cache memory, and it gets refreshed every time.
Okay, why we do caching? You know that. So what does this mean is that see the caching is that storing some data locally so that we don't have to computate means the addition subtraction like the computation we don't have to do the computation every time when we need this data. Now let me give you an example. I'll just go with a random example so that suppose there is a room which is for rent and it gives rent on per day basis. So per day basis they are giving the rent and some person name Ashwant, considered Ashwant, is taking this room per day basis rent in a month on first sorry, he's taking this room for rent per day basis. The room rent is per day is considered a 1543 something like that. So and in a month he comes to Bangalore. This room is in Bangalore, so he comes to Bangalore and per month he stays in this room for 17 days. 17 days. Okay. So now, so at the end of the month, when he is vacating this room, means every month he comes, means he stays in Bangalore for just for 17 days, and the other 14 days he may stay in his hometown somewhere. So every 17 days he's staying in this room for a per day basis. So at the end of the month, he comes and asks the person, "What is my rent?" So what he does is that 17 into 1543. So this is a constant time zone means every 1 month, every month he comes in the same way. He goes to this room. He stays in this room for with per day basis of 1543 for 17 days. So it is going on continuously means every month. So every month the owner is calculating this value and is mentioning that this is the value. So not to calculate this value, suppose he stores this value means he stores this amount. He says this amount at somewhere in his notepad in Excel at somewhere. And whenever the Ashwant after staying the 17 days comes back and says that okay, what is my rent? He directly don't have to calculate and simply say the value. What will be the value of 17, 15 for something, whatever may be the value. He just stays there and says that okay, this is your value means you have stayed this many days. So for 17 days, this is the value where it's equals to 26,000 something to that year. Okay, 26,231. This is the value every time when Ashwant stays 17 days. He's asking and he's taking this value. He's saying this value and he's taking it. Means he stored this value. He's not calculating every time. In the same way, when you are using the same thing every time and you are not changing it, so this is a constant. This doesn't change. So this storing this one at some place is called caching, where you are storing it and you are not doing the calculations every time and you are just saying the figure whenever this is called. Whenever he claims he stays and he knows, the owner knows that Eshon stays for only for 17 days and he's not changing the rent. So 1543. So directly he comes and he says, so what's the value? He's not calculating, directly saying, okay, this is the value. He's storing in his memory, he's storing it somewhere, but he's storing it. So this is called caching. So now, any questions? Means I'm just giving a layman example so that you can understand how exactly it works out.
Continue, Ashok, continue.
Okay. So now the drawback is, now suppose H1 stays for 17 days, that's fine. Now he stays for only 11 days at some point. Some days he stays 11 days. Some days he stays 15 days. Some days he stays 19 days. Some days he stays 20 days. So the value is getting changed. And the owner started increasing the rent every 4 months. Now it is 1543, he changed to 1640. And after 3-4 months, he changed it to 1700. So the value is changing. So changing this value, if the owner is changing the value, so it doesn't make sense to store the value every time, right? Because we are not sure that the Yashwant is going to stay for 11 days, 15 days, because he started behaving differently. Means he is not staying anymore because his job may have been at different options. So he is not staying the constant value. He's changing it, and the owner is also saying that based on my location and everything, the the rent also has to be increased because it has been the same for many more days. So he also started increasing his rent. So storing this type of value will not have anything because every time it changes. So this is the picture where the caching comes. It only works on the static data. It only works on the static data. It doesn't work on the data which changes every time. It doesn't work. Now consider, now take an example. Suppose you have a website in somewhere in US or in UK where they wrote an about uh, article about dogs. Okay. Now people in India, we want to read this article. So what we do is that every time when we want to read this article, we are directly going here and accessing this data about this dogs. So one has read it, so everyone started reading it. So it is when we are going from India to read this article to US, through when we are reaching the article, it is giving back again the same thing. So, and this article doesn't change because it's an article. They written it and they left it because they are written it. So people from India started reading this article. So the server from India is connecting to US or UK and reading this article when they are typing it. So it is giving back. So going this much process. So what the cache did was that, so it stored a locally in somewhere in India itself so that they don't have to cross this path. So simply they can go back from here to this cache memory, and from here it continuously gets from this place. So it is giving, not going to this place. So they simply not want to go here because of this traffic. So they disconnected this process. Means directly when the people are started going through this article, so the cache what did is that it taken a memory in its way in locally, and it kept it here itself, so that from the India this place to travel this much traffic, it disconnected and directly it is taken from the local cache. So it eases the process. The cache eases the process, and we don't have to do a lot of computations every time when if the data is not changing for something which doesn't change with time or anything. So it does, the article has not been changed for years, the same article. So the cache works on the static data when it is the data has not been changed. So for that values, it takes this memory, it keeps it inside, and it works out. This is called caching. Any questions?
Ashok,
Yes.
caching is saved in local system or like where it is saved exactly?
So there are different types of caching. I will go further. I will explain it to you.
Okay.
Locally means see as a there will be different kind of caching. There is a browser caching, there is a voice caching, there is a IP router caching, and there is ISP caching. And there are four types of cachings. So
Okay.
each caching has a different kind of means how they cache the data and how they keep it. I will explain it to you. So any questions on this means how the cache works, means why exactly it is storing anything.
Does entire data it will be storing or like little it will be in some KBs, right?
Yeah, see, as I said, if you're see mostly on the articles which you write after long back, maybe if you are looking at it, so that articles will never be changed, right? Means they don't change at all. So for
Okay.
that articles, they don't have to travel from Indian servers to US or UK servers to take that article. So in Indian server somewhere in locally, means in India servers locally, the server will create a cache and it will take that article and keep it. So whenever someone is hitting, not yours, maybe some other person or maybe some other person, when trying to hit the same article, it directly gives that from its own server cache, so that it takes and it doesn't have to go back to US or UK servers to get that article.
Okay.
Any questions?
Ashok, like the example which you gave for caching, it is like what I understood with another example was every month we are getting provision from a supermarket and going to nearby provision stores for getting a few things required. That is caching, right? Like the same way which it can be narrated from carrying,
Sorry, I didn't get you. Could you please repeat? Means,
getting like I didn't actually understand the US thing which you told, like getting articles from
see,
US. So
see,
what? Oh, okay, okay, continue.
okay, let me explain you. See, there is an article. Means, so forget about this US, UK, anything. So there is a server somewhere in India, and there is a server somewhere in US or UK. Okay, somewhere.
Yes,
Okay, there some person wrote an article about dogs. Okay,
yes.
wrote an article about dogs means he just wrote a document, something like a document about dogs. Means suppose if you go and type this something dogs article, so there is an article which it has been written somewhere, punya.com something, so they have written it. So if you see on the contact us.
Sorry to interrupt, Ashok. Actually, I got the thing, but what I was actually trying to tell was, if we can compare, we can compare that US UK thing to supermarket and caching to local provision store.
See, you every time go and get a same product from the provision store, means you will not change anything.
Like basic necessary things like which
No,
are available here.
see, I'm just giving an example. The provisional store or anything is that you are caching. It means, see, the path you are traveling to that provisional store every time.
Uh,
The path you are traveling to that provisional store every time, and you are going to get it. That's the path. See, first time when you don't know that provisional store, so your father has taken you to that provisional store in the first place.
okay.
For the second time, you don't have to go with your father, right? You know that you have stored it where, how to go. You
Yes.
know that.
Yes. Yes.
So that way, the path has been stored in your memory. Means it has been stored in your memory that okay, this is the way I have to go. I know it. I know that place exactly where it is there. So that is caching, where you have kept it as a memory so that you can go directly where you have to get it. That's it. That is a
Okay.
simple concept.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Got it. Got your point.
So that is called
Okay.
caching. The provisional store and everything is that see, it's a provisional store. If you are getting the same product for many times, the shopkeeper may keep that product only for you, not for anyone.
Okay.
So he's separately keeping it. Means if there are 10 products, 5 products are already been, means some people are coming and going, coming and going. So he's keeping the sixth product for you only, because you know that every month you are going to come and get the same product.
Okay.
He has stored it for you.
Yes. Got it. Got it.
That's some way that is called caching. Means you are storing it. You are keeping it at somewhere so that you need it every time when you are using the same thing again and again.
We can take it for milk booth. Like every day we go and get half liter, 1 liter milk. He'll be keeping that milk packet for us.
Yeah,
Till
I answered that like that also. It's just a caching where you store it. That's it. Means you in the layman, I just explained you so that you understand how exactly the system caching works.
yeah, done.
Okay. Any questions?
Ashok, it's about data lossing cases.
No, not data loss. Means the caching is that, see, when you are using the browser, when you are using a browser, so at the first time when you are hitting the youtube.com, when you are hitting the for the first time, you have not entered YouTube at all in your system at all. In the first time when you are hitting it, the first time it takes time to load. But for the second time when you started hitting the same youtube.com, it comes to your browser very fastly. Why? Because it caches that skeleton, the overall data, it caches, so that whenever you are hitting it, you don't have to hit. Means the YouTube is not from India, right? It has been from the US, UK servers. So when you are hitting it, it doesn't have to go to the US, UK servers to get that data. It will cache it in your local, in your browser. Means that comes under types of caching. So where when you are hitting for the second time, it takes from, you don't have to travel that much to get that data. So it stores in its locally, and it gives you. When the data changes, automatically it has to again go back to the servers and it has to get the data.
Yeah, got it, got it. Just like it is storing in local memory, I think. So that,
Yes, yes, that's right. So now, as I mentioned in a YouTube, suppose this is a YouTube. Now consider that there will be a YouTube here, and there will be a search button here, and there also will be what all the things they used. It will be here, and along with it, there also will be the things where you have. Why I'm explaining you is this, what kind of a structure YouTube actually shows. Okay, now consider this. This is video 1. This is video 2. This is video 3. And this is video 4, and go on, video 4, something, and this is search button, and this is YouTube, the home. So whenever you load the YouTube channel, the layout is same, right? If we open a particular website, means whatever may be the website, YouTube, Amazon, the layout, it first loads the layout. Now can see if I click
yeah,
on youtube.com, first thing what it loads, see, this is the layout, right? The search,
yeah,
everything again. Watch it clearly. See, the videos and the layout and the search is the same thing. The layout is same. It is not changing the layout, right? See, means every time when you are opening the youtube.com, so the YouTube, the search and the videos, the layout is same. The skeleton of the website is same. It is not changing the skeleton, right?
Yes.
yes, yes,
So means these are all being done with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, where the skeleton of the website is same, but inside the skeleton, means whatever the videos, or what maybe the new videos, or maybe the YouTube, whatever you have the trending and everything, these may change, but the skeleton is same. It will be having a home button, the search, and the right side, the left side, you will be having all the trending, what are the topics they have, and the videos layout. So the layout will never change, but the inside the content may change. So what the browser cache comes into the picture here, where it stores this layout. Means when you are hitting the YouTube for the every time, it is storing the layout content. Means it is storing the first thing, the layout. This layout will be cached. This layout will be cached so that it doesn't have to get every time when it is loading. This is called browser cache, where it stores the layout. It doesn't store the content, because the content may change every time when you are loading the youtube.com, because it has to hit the YouTube server to get the data. But the layout is same, so it caches this layout content. It caches this skeleton of this layer of the website, so that you don't have to every time when it's loading, it doesn't have to YouTube server to get this layout. So it keeps this. This is called browser cache, where you are storing the skeleton of the website.
Okay. Ashok, one small doubt.
Yes.
Maybe it's different, I think so. Is there any relation between cookies and cache?
See, cookies is that when you are using the data, means the server side, when you are using it, when you are loading the data, there you are actually keeping it. Means the cache is considering of that cookies also. Means whatever the cookies, suppose if you see here, okay, I have to go to history for that. Suppose suppose if I use see here, here all the tabs I have used. There are many more tabs. Okay. Now suppose if I have to delete this, means delete the settings or maybe the cookies. So here, see, this is a browsing data, wherever it is having the cache and cookies. Here, in the cookies, when you are visiting a site, whenever you are visiting a site, so it the cookies help you to make it, means whatever you have been, means the server side, from there they are taking what exactly the data you have been using. Means suppose if you open something like Stack Overflow or maybe Tutorial Point or some other website, it asks you that whether confirm my choices, means what exactly I need to use, what exactly suppose what can be done, give me an example, something about the Stack Overflow. So suppose if you are want to search something, let me search for your questions only. What are cookies? Okay. Come on, why it is not coming today? Every time it comes. So when you are opening it, means where the website uses this data, means whatever you are trying, you are searching it, and how exactly this can be worked out. That is called the cookies, and I will explain you more further, because it's totally different concept. Again, if you go to cookies, the cache will not be totally different, because
Yeah,
what
okay,
you
okay.
how the website takes the data and everything, that's totally different thing. And coming to our topic, the skeleton of the website, the browser cache is that it stores the skeleton of the website, where it takes it, means all the contents. Maybe if other than YouTube, if you go for Amazon, so for the amazon.com, for this it automatically goes on the same way. If you are using anything for amazon.in,
Just dot in, not co dot in.
oh sorry, my bad.
It's for
the,
India.
the layout got changed, means the layout is the same thing, only the content inside the US and India, the same thing is a different, only the layout is the same thing. inside the content has been changed. So it caches this skeleton of the website, means whatever you are using, whatever you are working on it, so it caches this thing. Means it takes, suppose whatever you have been used, and from here, if it is taking to the server, so it works out here, means whatever it is having, it is hitting. So for the content, it is hitting the server's IP address, server details. So this is, means I will explain why I'm drawing. I'm just explaining. So this is the browser cache, means where it holds the skeleton of the website to load it very easily, so that the data, the content of the day layout will automatically come into picture very smoothly. Any questions on this? This is called browser cache. Any questions?
No, sure.
Yeah, no, sure. Continue.
So
Continue.
now the browser cache also caches the domain name, means if you are using the youtube.com, this youtube.com, it caches this domain name along with the IP address. Means here, if you see here, it is having youtube.com is a domain name, whatever we are hitting, it caches this here with the domain name along with the IP address, DN domain name and IP address. It caches this, means whenever you are hitting the youtube.com, it caches this domain name and IP address, so that every time when you are hitting it, so the browser cache takes this domain name youtube.com and its IP address. The server, having the server will be having a different IP address, but when you are connecting through the net, through the internet, when you are hitting the youtube.com, the IP address will be a different thing. So the server IP address is different, and when for hitting that server and getting that IP address is different, means the domain name and IP address are different. It caches this one for every time when you use the browser cache. You got it?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, got it, Ashok.
Okay. After browser cache, there is another one called OS caching. OS caching is the same thing which stores the same as the domain name and many other IP addresses. It does to increase the efficiency of the processor. To increase the efficiency of processor, it caches the same as the domain name, many other IPs, and it also caches the memory, data, bytes of data. This is one type of caching, OS caching. Whatever the OS you are using, means Windows, Linux, and whatever you are using. So it also caches the same, the domain name and many other IPs when you are visiting the sites and everything. It does to increase the efficiency of the processor, whatever the processor you're using for this Windows and OS, to make it so that lot of other things where it will be cached, like memory, bytes of data, these are all comes into the OS caching. I will explain in a clear cut picture when we are going further in a good example, but just let me know. This is another one is router caching, where this also caches the domain name and the IP addresses. And other one was ISP caching, where this means what all the web pages mean the internet service provider caching. This the router is also caches the same domain name and IP address. And ISP caching is that wherever you are using the IP, its own IP address, means the server IP address of that YouTube dot anything, it caches this, and it every time means if you are hitting the YouTube and other things, so this ISP caching keeps that layout, means as I mentioned as a browser, it also keeps the same layout for 2 weeks. Same layout, whatever the layout it has been using, it will be keeping the same layout for 2 weeks. And until unless YouTube updates their layout, it will be using the same layout. If it is updated, then this ISP caching will have some issues when YouTube updates its own layout and any other things. So all the things will be the same thing where they caches the domain name or the IP address, and it keeps them to make your life easier when you are hitting any website or anything in from your system. Any questions on this about the OS, router, and ISP? I will give you an example, but any questions on this? It's the same thing. They all caches the memory or the domain name or the IP address, so that when you're hitting some websites or maybe some web pages, anything from your system on your browser, so that it caches and it stores, so that when you're hitting it, it directly gives you not to go further to get the details from the server.
This routing caching is nothing but creating a path between client to server. Ashok?
Yes. Yes, that comes into the picture. Before client, it comes the ISP, right? Before
Okay.
the ISP is also there, so it directly doesn't go to the client directly. So it goes to the first ISP. Then, if the ISP doesn't find it, then it goes to the uh, client, to the root. So now suppose, let me draw this. Okay.
It's a shortest path it will provide, or
No, the router is that it also stores the data, means whatever you are having that path and whatever you have kept it. So it stores that and it pings, it gives you, means every router or the ISP, it keeps that path, means whenever you're using it, it keeps that path, so that whenever next time when you are hitting the same thing, so it directly gives you.
yeah, I think speed of connection is going to increase
Yes,
because of the storing of this routing path.
yes, that's right. Just give me a minute. I'm just going to explain this in a simple language so that you'll be able to understand why I'm drawing this. Suppose this is I'm just talking about the domain names, DNS, how DNS works. Okay. Now, if you are hitting a domain, youtube.com, how actually DNS works, man, the domain names are how actually it works out. If you are hitting a youtube.com, for the first time in your system, you are hitting a youtube.com. Okay. For the first time, we don't have the IP address, we don't have the domain name at all. We just hit a www.youtube.com. For the first time when you are hitting it, means the browser doesn't cache it. So what it does that the browser checks it in its cache first, whether I have this domain name or this IP address to hit this youtube.com. So if it doesn't have, then it goes to the CPU level and checks for it, whether it has anything, but you are been using the system for the first time and you have not been hit this kind of website for the first time. So this checks that, okay, for the CPU also this is the first time, so it doesn't have this IP address or the domain name, so it hits back to the router. And for the first time, you have recently taken the router, so you have not been logged in at all, means you have not used the website at all. So the router sees that, okay, this is the first time this one is also been using, so he doesn't, I am also not been aware of this domain name IP address, so let me go back to the ISP is also called as
Internet service protocol.
resolver servers. ISP is that Internet Service Protocol only, but I'm saying the other name, resolver servers. Mean, see, the ISP is that he or she, means the internet people will not provide you the internet only to you only, right? There will be many more people who are using the same internet, same network.
Exactly.
So when you are using the router, if you are not getting from there, it hit back to the ISP and asks that, okay, this is the domain he is trying to hit or she is trying to hit. So do you have any details of this? So if the ISP has that, it will directly give it back to the router, and the vice versa will happen. Means it goes back to the CPU and the YouTube. So when it is to back, the router stores it, the CPU also stores it, and the browser also stores it. Means they all cache this thing when it comes from the ISP, so that it caches it. Now consider that the ISP also not aware of this one. The ISP also doesn't have this domain name which you had, so it goes to the root server. Means whatever the domain name. So I think there are 13 root server IPs. 13 root server IPs means these are all not machines. Root server IPs, which are controlling overall and relationship between them. Means it may be having thousands of hundreds of machines, but it is having 13 root server IPs. So these IPs consider the whole data. So when it comes to the root, again it sends the data back. It gives the data to downside of its other servers called name servers. What are all these name servers? I'll explain. So these name servers are called .com, .edu, and .net. So when the data is coming from the root server, means when you are hitting it for the first time, so when you are hitting the data for the first time, so means you are not having it, so it sends, it is taking from somewhere from .com or maybe from .edu, .net, and they are like, as I mentioned, 13 root server IP, so other things. So you are hitting youtube.com, it goes to CPU, it doesn't have, so it goes to router, it doesn't have, it went to ISCP, it also doesn't have, it went to the root. The root will go, gives back to the, as I mentioned, these are all called name servers. NS.
So
Name
based
server.
on .com or .eu, .net, it
Yes. Yes.
triggers.
Yes, that's right. So these name servers will have the which domain you have it .com or .edu .net. So it goes to the .com. Again, these will be having all level of datas where from which domain name, means sorry, these are all called name servers, these are all called the root server IPs. So these are all called name servers, means the .com whatever having the details here. So it will be taking from this name servers, means from the .com site, it goes to the name servers and it hits this servers and takes the data, means from here, if it is the YouTube is present in this, it will takes the data from here and it sends back to the root, and from the root to the ISCP, ISCP to the router, router to the CPU, and CPU to your machine browser where you are using it. So this is the structure how the DNS actually works. So now you hit youtube.com, amazon.com, you have it for the first time, and it has been not there in your browser. So it checks in your CPU whether this has been hit at anywhere in your system. So you are hitting for the first time, so the CPU also doesn't have it. So it goes back to the router. The router also seen this is the first time it has been hitting from your so system and CPU. So it sends to ISCP. ISCP also not seen this kind of a domain name before. So it sends to the root. The root checks on the 13 root server IPs whether it is from the .com, .tu, and .net. So if it is from the .com, it goes from the, it sends to .com, and from the .com it goes to the name servers where it has the data of that domain name. So it sends back. When it's sending back, it takes the data to all it. Now from the next time, the ISCP directly saves this data from this name server. It doesn't take it from the root. From the second time, it takes the path. It understands the path. Okay, it is from here. So we directly don't have to hit to the root. I can directly go to here. And the ISCP stores this path. And the same way the router also stores the path. Okay, it has been here. The CPU also stores it. The browser just stores it. So that way they store this path, how exactly it is working on, how to reach this exact path. Means when you are hitting this domain, in case if we doesn't find how we exactly go, the ICP stores this one, how exactly to reach this .com server IP and name server IP. So how exactly this can be done. This is the way how DNS works, the domain name system works in real world. Any doubts you have, means if you have, you can just directly ask. This is called DNS, domain name server. Oh, sorry, my bad. DNS is domain name system. You are there with me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we are there. We are
Yes,
actually I'm looking down here this points actually.
So this is the way how our DNS works, means how the domain name system works when it goes to, when you are hitting for the first time. And from the second time, if already have been having from the CPU, it takes it. If it is having from the router, it takes it. From the ISCP, as I mentioned, these are all the resolver servers where, as I said, you are using the router for the first time, but maybe the internet provider is providing the same data to many more people. So maximum times it gets it from here itself. But if the data is not being here, then it hits the root server. It goes to the 13 root server IPs. Under this root server IPs, it goes to the name servers where it takes the data from here and it sends back to the root, and from there to the ISCP. And from the second time, the ISCP stores the path of this .com server IP and the name server IP. So how it exactly needs to get it from here. The route stores it from the ISCP.
Right. Ashok, is there this diagram to share with us?
Sorry?
Actually, we need this diagram actually.
This is actually bad. Okay, let me give it.
Can you add this path in slides also? This picture.
I'm doing that one only.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Okay. Okay, now before going to this, do you have in Windows, when you ever tried, I have seen you have gone for IP config and everything. Do you know how exactly the which port your IP address uses? Have you ever tried that? Means when your ISP internet service provider, when your system is connecting to the internet, which port it is using? Have you ever tried that? Yeah, if you say yes or no, that's fine. At least I'll be able to
No,
understand.
no, no.
Most.
So if you type netstat, it will show you how exactly the port is working. See, this is my IP address, and it is connecting with the port number 49451 to connect to the internet. This is the port every time when it has this data, it's tried to get connected. You will see it will be changing the data every time. So it is hitting this port, means every time whenever it is connecting, it is hitting this IP address with this port number. Means every time it is connecting to the net, it is using a different port number, 49451. And suppose so the different port has been used. So every time it is connecting. Now suppose when have you tried to ping www.google.com? Not host. Okay. Hmm. See, this is the Google IP address. This is the Google IP address where it is trying. So now if I trace through this google.com, it will be showing how exactly from my IP it is trying to trace to this google.com. See, from first it is trying from my internet IP, router IP, and after this it is going through the Airtel broadband ISCP, and it is hitting somewhere IP to reach this one. Just see it.
Are we getting any? I've received something like sent for, received for packets kind of a thing.
Yeah, these are the packets we discussed with the OS layer yesterday, right? How the packets has been sent,
Yes,
whatever
yes.
that has been. So the same way. So see, before for go it hitting to the google.com, how many IP addresses it is trying to hit to go for this IP address? Means these are all IP addresses it is going back and it is trying to hit this IP address. Means we are tracing route that. So here it is. And finally, this was the route we have it. See, is this the same one, right?
For me, different, Ashok.
No, not for. Yeah, see, it depends. As I said, when you
Oh.
are hitting from the google.com, the Google from the server, it has its own IP. But when it's connect to the internet, he will be having a different IP address for everything. For every person, it will not show the same thing. So as I mentioned, from my IP address, on my router IP, it has it to the internet service provider. From there, it has been hit this many IPs before reaching to this Google server IP, means this IP address. And after this will hit to the Google server IP address. If you want, you can try trace route back to this one and you will see, because every time when you are hitting it will be a different thing. From my system, this will be the same because I have been hitting continuously. This is for Windows, means for the Unix, and it will change again. We will be using curl and everything. Trace route ping. What was the IP config? That's fine. Let me ping about the route. See, if you are using the router, if you print route print, see, this is the router where you are using this access. See, this is a network destination, network mask. This is a gateway, and this is my IP address interface. This one, and the TCP protocols which it is using when it is trying to onlink these many things. See, this is just for basic for knowledge. No one will ask you, but I'm just giving you examples how exactly in command prompt you can have this many things when you are trying tracing back what exactly has been there.
I think these are important for us also when we are going to connect with the server.
No, not important. See, for the server IP address, you just need the IP address. How it is exactly connecting that thing will be taken back by the network engineers. You just need to understand if you are connecting with that IP, how you have to make sure that connection should be secure. You don't have to know how exactly the process is working, means which IP address it is hitting that. You don't have to go for that. Because if you go with that, you will not be a DevOps. Then you will be working as a network engineer, where you will be working on this IPs and anything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you go for the path ping also, the path ping also mentions how exactly it is hitting this one. See, from my IP address, it is hitting the router IP. From there, it is hitting the Airtel broadband because I'm using Airtel broadband. And from there, it is hitting continuous. Means if you in Linux or somewhere, if you use whois and search this IP address, it will be showing on which person IP address name is this one. But in Windows, whois doesn't work. I think we have to provide some details also for that. See, until it goes to the Google, it will be showing how exactly it has. See, now it got it. Or at the 11th hit, it reached the Google IP. So this was where the path works out. This is the path thing. I'm just explaining you how exactly the things work. Means if you want in Google also, you can go and you can search in Google, search Windows CD command. See, these are all the things where you can find everything. Let me ping you in the group so that if you want, you can try. So any questions on this? Means whatever we have seen, whatever we have up to now, this will be the networking. Uh, whatever maybe the going forward and everything, the basics I have explained it to you. So if you want, you can check for more. Any questions, guys?
No, Ashok. Clear.
Okay. But one thing, here when the domain name system normally in any server, it uses 53 ports. Okay. Whenever when the DNS uses from your server, it uses 53 port normally. Why I'm mentioning this is that going forward when you find out anywhere, so it uses the DNS default will be 53.
53
Domain name
ports.
system. Sorry?
Is that 53 ports?
A 53 port number, the port number. Like if you
Okay.
have here, you are having the port number, right? This one.
Mm-hmm.
The 53 will be the default port number which it will be using.
Okay.
So if you don't have any questions, I may have, because I think I have kept something. Means
Yes.
the function of DNS protocol is to
Resolve domain names to IP address.
okay. What about the other two?
Dynamically assign IP address to any host over the network.
Okay. What about Yashwant?
The function of domain system. Third option.
Okay. Why you are choosing the dynamically assign IP address to any host or the network?
Like that is actually the flow, right? Like
No. See, in the flow, where I have mentioned that it will assign a dynamically assign IP address. Means the domain name system has taken any IP addresses anywhere. It is directly
No.
hitting everywhere.
okay,
The option will be second one. Means it resolve the domain names to IP addresses. Means when the DNS works, when it
Mhm.
comes to the picture, like this, when the youtube.com, this is a domain name.
Okay.
This name will have a separate IP address when it is hitting this domain. So it DNS takes this domain name along with the IP address of this one. It will not map. Why it will assign? Because this domain name has its own IP address, right? So why will
Yes.
it map to a different host on any other network? Why it will do that?
Okay.
So it is a result domain names to an IP address because it resolve it, because it takes this domain names to IP address and it will keep the things. That's the domain name system protocol. I just mentioned this one, the default port number used by domain name server.
53.
53.
53.
Yeah. But keep it in mind because going forward we will be using this port numbers and everything. Means when we go further in the AWS and we will start using the hit the URLs and everything, at that time we will be using it more. Okay, if anyone can share the screen, I'll be helping you to create the AWS account so that you can start using the AWS so that you will be understanding. And before AWS account creation, let me very clear two things. One is that we have to, when we create AWS account, there will be bill payments. In that bill payments, it will be default, will be no, but still we have to check the recurring payments should be as no. Means when we are providing our credit card or debit card details, the first time it will be debiting 2 rupees from our from the debit and it will be refunding back, and it will be giving 1 year free access, one year free tier access. And if you are using only the free tier servers and everything whatever you've been using, and if the amount is means whatever been using and we are using more than that, means if you are not for the personal purpose you are using, and you have started using the paid ones, means the T2 micro, the different types of AWS instances. So if the amount is less than 10k or more than 10k, they will start sending you the notifications for the first 4 to 5 months that this is the bill you are getting it, please pay it. From the sixth month or from the fifth month they will send you a, along with the mail they will send you a notice that if you don't pay this we will be deactivating your AWS account. But we don't go up to that now, but we will be just mentioning this thing. So we just have to keep it in mind that the recurring payment and the amount should not go for more than 10k or less than 10, more than 10k, like that. So anyone can share your screen so that I will help you to create that AWS account today, so that I'll explain how exactly you can work it out.
Is my
Okay.
screen is visible?
Yes, it is visible. Click on aws.amazon.com.
.com or .in?
.com. Amazon Web Service is the same thing. So
Can I go for create account?
yeah, create an AWS account. So see, first thing is that this is a root user email address. Means whatever the email you are going to use, this will be the root user email, and the name which has been mentioned, that will be your account name. So use your email. There will be a password coming to your email address. Okay, now enter alphanumeric password for your to log into the AWS accounts every time. The password which you are using is already known to the AWS. Start using a different one. Change the permutation combination the same password. Maybe keep some caps, some low caps, just to make sure. Okay, now mention, see, how do you want to plan to use personal for your own projects? Just click on that. Okay, mention your name and your phone number is mandatory. India. Just type IND on the top. It will take care. IND. Just mention IND. Okay, the address is not mandatory. That's fine. Go on, go on. Just click on I have read. Continue. Oh, it's asking this time. Okay, just mention some address. Means just the city name, state, something. Just you can mention anything.
Can I change mobile number otherwise?
It's up to you. Means you can keep anything. Means with this mobile number only, now you will get a password verification for that. You can use anything. It's up to you.
It's asking that credit card, debit card details.
Yes, you have to mention it. So the first time it will be debiting 2 rupees from your account, and it will be paying you back. So see, we will not charge you for usage below AWS free tier limits. We may temporarily hold up to $1. Means for US it will be $1. For India it will be 2 rupees, I think.
Okay.
Puneet and Yashwant, you are looking into it, right? How you want to, means going forward, you have to create yourself.
Yes, Ashok.
Yes,
Means
Ashok.
if you have doubts, you can ping me. Means this is the process. I'm just telling you. There will be a number of videos in YouTube also if you go through it. Which card you are using? Because it's saying the cricket is not valid as an unsupported type.
Oh, it's a rupee card. Okay. Can you stop recording, Abhishek?
Okay. Maybe you can stop your sharing and you can enter the details and you can come back.
Yeah.